What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben, and welcome back to the Apollo Group build here on Sci-Fi Wednesdays. This is the final episode, guys, for our USS Kelvin. Last episode, we went ahead and got everything decaled. Everything is gloss-coated. Off camera, we took a little bit of our Winsor Newton flat, and we airbrushed the entire flat coat. So now, we're going to go ahead and move on with unmasking all of our portholes, our windows, and our clear parts. We're going to start back here on the back of the nacelle. I don't know what these are called, but I know that they are ready to go ahead and be unmasked, and then we can hopefully move forward with the last little bits and pieces before we can light this sucker up. So using my tweezers, X-acto knife, let's unmask all of the windows. Now we're going to move over to our detail painting. There's not a lot left to do, but we do have to airbrush the phaser turrets. So we're going to have 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom of the saucer. We need to go ahead and mask those off. I'm using some 6mm Tamiya tape. I already have a little bit set up as it is, but we're running really low on that, so I'm just going to run it out. Then we'll switch over to our 10mm. Really, this is like anything else. I'm just going to use our tape, and I'm going to outline the perimeter of each of these squares. Then we'll be able to come back. We'll be able to airbrush these. I'm thinking a nice, like a desert yellow color should work pretty well. And I think once I kind of dirty it down a little bit, it's going to match the images here on the instructions very nicely. I also use that desert yellow for the flashing around the warp nacelle as well, right there on the edge, and then the little side lights. Those are also surrounded by that desert yellow. So I think this should match up very nicely. Just a little bit more here, and then we're going to switch it over to the bottom, airbrush everything, and then unmask. Hopefully this works out. All right, not too shabby. We're going to head and unmask here. I'm going to pull off the tape. I like this look of the desert yellow. I think it really matches well with what we have on the instructions and also what we have on the back of the nacelle. So I'm pleased. I think this is all right. Here we go. All of it is unmasked, top and bottom. We are ready to go ahead and shift over to our next step, which will be the base. Lots of work to do on the base, guys. So let's go ahead and grab that. As you can see, also I have all the clear parts on. I've got the Bussard collector and the deflector dish, so we are looking pretty decent. Now moving on to the base, everybody. This is going to be one of the more difficult parts for me because I'm not really adept at making bases. So what I did is I just tossed together some wood scrap that I had lying around. We have a piece of plywood in the center, and then we have some stringers around the edge there to frame it in. Now this center part, I want to go ahead and glue this down to the top of it. This is a nebula picture I found online somewhere. I don't know where it really came from. I just found it online through Google image search. So we're going to take this and we're going to cut it down, and we're going to glue it down to the very top of this base. So I've got my measurements now. So the first thing we're going to have to do is I want to protect the front of this image. So we have a nice piece of scrap paper below that, so we can put our image face down onto that scrap piece of paper. And now we can use our ruler. I'm going to measure out what we need to measure, and we're going to cut it. And hopefully that will work perfectly for fitting it on the top of the base. As you can see here, we have it all nicely shaved down and nothing fancy. I think that's really going to work. It looks pretty cool. So now I need to go ahead and secure that down to the top of the base. We're going to be using some regular old, nothing fancy, Elmer's school glue. Take a nice large amount. We're going to spread it right around the center. Then I'm going to take a piece of Frisket paper, like a little scratch piece right here, and we're going to spread that around from the center all the way out to the edges. I really want to make sure that this image that I'm going to glue down doesn't pucker up or come up. And I'm thinking that, school glue works pretty well. It's non-toxic and it doesn't dry that quickly, but I think it's going to be a nice bond. Now we have all of the glue nicely spread out, so let's go ahead and take this image and we're just going to line it up right about there. And we're just going to press it down around the edges and the center to make sure that this isn't going to go anywhere. The base is not as good as I would like it to be, but it's going to be okay. I'm not going to really stress about it too much. So I think this looks pretty decent. Let's go ahead and let this dry. Then we'll be right back. So next on the list, we need to go ahead and open up the center hole so we can fit the Kelvin support tube right down inside. Now the underside of this is actually hollow, so we can actually take those wires and splay them out and attach them to each of the switches, which I will install in the lower right and left corners. I think it's going to be super simple to do. We can tack everything together, keep everything nice and neat. I'm just using my X-acto knife here, and I found the exact center of it, and I'm just going to be cutting around the edge just so I can get all of that extra piece of paper out of there, and then we can fit the actual tube straight down into that hole, and I think we should be pretty decent. So let's go ahead and quickly just cut this out, pop that Kelvin in there, wire up our 2 switches, and then we'll be back, and I'll show you what we come up with. All right, everybody, so we are back, and I have a finished product for the USS Kelvin for our Apollo group build, and let me go ahead and bring it out here. I've got to tell you, this has been a major triumph. I never thought I'd finish this in time, but I did. Let's go ahead and check it out. Here it is. So this is the 1/1000 scale USS Kelvin by Mobius. It has actually 2 lighting kits in it. The first lighting kit is the Voodoo FX lighting kit, and the second lighting kit is something I just created for fiber optics. And we have our clear parts like the reflector dish and our Phaser collector, our rear impulse engine, and of course the back of the nacelle. We have all the clear parts in, everything's unmasked. And let me go ahead and spin it around here. You can see the switches. I did end up drilling out 2 holes in the top of the base just for future reference. Probably should have drilled these out before I put down the top picture of the nebula. I kind of got them a little bit destroyed on the edges, but that's okay. It's fine. I'm happy with it. So we have one switch that's going to control the Voodoo FX lighting kit and one switch that's going to control the fiber optics. So let's go ahead and switch on the fiber optics and you guys can see what those look like. Go ahead and flip that switch and there we go. We have the fiber optics on. As you can see, we've got a little bit of a bluish tint to it, but that's okay because a lot of the production images I saw, they did show a little bit of a bluish tint. So on and off, you can see it's really, I like it. I think it adds a lot of character and a lot of depth to the ship. This would have been slightly lived in, and we want it to look like it's lived in for sure. You can see the neck, the hangar bay. We have the deflector dish area, and you can see the connection to the nacelle. I've got my 3 lights right down there. There could have been more, but I just kind of ran out of steam and ran out of energy to go ahead and move forward. Ran out of time too. Let's go ahead and spin this around here. This is really unwieldy, guys, so I apologize for the bit of a shakiness here on the model. But let's go ahead and rotate it around. You can see the side of the saucer. We have all our fiber optics there, the step in the middle of the saucer, and of course, the lights right around the bridge. On the back here, we can see we have a couple on the rear of the saucer itself, and then you can see right up here, 2 lights right by the hangar bay. So we got the saucer and of course the hangar bay. I love it. I think it looks great. And of course I got my raised surface detail that I did when I added on all those Aztec panels. I've got everything nicely decked out. So I'm pleased. I think it looks awesome. But now of course we have to check out the Voodoo lighting kit. So let's go ahead and flip that on and let's check that out. So again, side profile shot. Let's go ahead and flip on that Voodoo FX lighting kit and there we go. Hopefully you can tell we've got the Phaser collector, we've got the bridge, we've got the deflector dish, and of course the impulse engine and the warp nacelle all lit up. Got really, really nice colors with these. Now I will say that it's kind of difficult to see this in a brightly lit room. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to attempt to do a low light shot as well. But I thought I would just go ahead and show you what we have right here with the lighting as I have here on the bench. I honestly have to say the Voodoo FX lighting kit was super simple to go ahead and install. Now, of course, they give you everything you need for the wiring and for all of the switches and all that. I did replace the factory switch that they gave me with another switch to match my fiber optic switch, just so everything is nicely uniform. But I got to tell you, the LEDs worked out well. They gave you everything you need from heat shrink tubing all the way to resistors. They gave you really nice instructions. Props to Voodoo FX lighting. This was awesome. Really highly recommended. I'm really hoping you guys dig it. I mean, honestly, the colors are really, really nice. I love the fact that you can really see them. When it's dark, you flip these things on, it will light up an entire room. Guys, it's crazy. I do have a few light leaks here and there around the impulse engine, but you know what, guys? This is my very first time ever doing this, so I'm really not that worried about it. If I do another one here, I'm hopefully going to be able to do even more and utilize all the knowledge I've learned from this kit. Such a beautiful model with an amazing lighting kit. Props to Mobius and props to Voodoo FX. Beautiful job, guys. Now let's go ahead and get that low light shot here for you. As you can see, these are some bright lights. The deflector dish is that bright blue. We have that orangey yellow that's coming out there on the Phaser collector. We have the soft white that's in the bridge and that little cutout that we made for that for the bottom light there. And then of course we have a red for the impulse engine and a blue for the warp nacelle itself. Honestly, such a beautiful kit. Amazing, amazing detail on the Voodoo FX. And I got to tell you, with the fiber optics, it really adds a lot of character to the model. So overall, everybody, we are done with the USS Kelvin and finished with the Apollo group build. This was an amazing project. We set out to go ahead and light up our USS Kelvin by Mobius, 1/1000 scale. And we did it. We used the Voodoo FX lighting kit, which I honestly have to say was super simple to use. It gave you everything you need. A little bit of soldering required though, but a wonderful, perfect starter kit for me. I learned a ton about fiber optics, about lighting sources, about cable management. I learned a ton about light blocks and all those good things. And there's a lot more I have left to learn, but for a very first time out of the gate, I got to tell you, I'm happy with it. I'm very, very pleased. So hopefully you guys enjoyed watching my struggles and my triumphs here on this particular kit. I've always wanted to go ahead and do something like this. I just figured that the Apollo group build would be a perfect time to go ahead and try it out and see what I could do. And honestly, the USS Kelvin was a wonderful choice. The model isn't that complicated to build. It's got a couple of steps here and there. The lighting kit was really super simple to go ahead and install, and Voodoo FX made it really, really easy to go ahead and follow the instructions. They give you everything you need. So thank you so much, everybody, for watching. We're going to take a little bit of a break on sci-fi stuff for a while. I know this video is coming out pretty late, but I assure you everything is finished off and we are ready to go ahead and roll into a couple extra builds. But for right now, we're pulling back just a little bit. So I wanted to go ahead and say thank you to each and every one of you for sticking it out there and for watching and enjoying this build. This group build was amazing. I had a ton of fun and I'm hoping that you guys had fun coming along with me on the journey. So until our next episode, everybody, please stay safe. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, build something cool, have some fun, try some new techniques, and we will see you next time on Ben Builds. Until then, stay safe and we'll see you on the bench.